Hi
Hey,
JoJo,
hi Taj.
how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I know today's a special day, I think, planetary-wise, September the 1st. Uh,
Planetary wise, we're in a major retrograde at 9 different planets in Virgo and a solar eclipse that has a ring around it. It's a unusual eclipse. I forget the terminology for it, but it's pretty intense. It's like the solar ring eclipse is what I call it.
yeah, yeah,
Lot major energy, lots of intense emotions. People are on their worst behavior right now, and it's kind of here until Sunday.
right,
I
yeah,
follow an astrologer every day. I've been following astrology for well, I've been following it most of my life, but every day I listen to an astrologer every single morning for the last 4 years. And it really helps, Taj. Totally helps, helps you learn to make better decisions.
yeah, I understand, yeah. I'm not into astrology so much myself, to be honest.
I don't know a
Uh,
lot about it. I don't know much about it. I just know through the astrologer that I use, and he's really helpful. It helps a lot to make sense of things that are going on. If I miss a report and I catch it later on in the day, I'm like, oh, that makes sense now. Okay. And plus it's ancient. It's an ancient art, Taj, and this whole
yeah,
system is based up on ancient lies. So I think we need to almost learn some of this ancient art form so we know we know how to live through this chaos.
yeah, that's true, yeah.
How how are you doing?
I'm doing okay, quite busy.
Did you
Um,
have fun with Sarah? Did you have some good fun days?
yeah, it's fun to hang out with Sarah, yeah, she's pretty cool, really, to be honest,
Good.
yeah.
Did you learn a lot for
Oh
yourself?
yeah, yeah. She's teaching me a lot of stuff about symbology and all kinds of things. Really, we just walk
Wonderful.
around. We just walk around town and stuff and just point out things, like on buildings or symbols, road signs, all kinds of weird things. Really, it's
Isn't
quite.
it amazing how much it's all around you
Oh
that you never
yeah,
really
oh yeah.
realized before?
It's really opened up my mind a lot. Really, yeah. Uh,
Good. Well, glad you had that experience with her. It's very nice of her to do that with you. And, what a wonderful thing for her to do with you. That's wonderful of her.
yeah, we've become good friends. Really. I mean, I've known her for nearly a year now. Really, but only in the last couple of months have we sort of started talking pretty much on a daily basis now.
Yeah. Hey,
So
she definitely understands psychic attack because I know she's under psychic attack right now too.
yeah, I mean, she was under psychic attack at the conference, at the basis conference, and in fact, the night before I interviewed her, she'd just been attacked.
She
So
goes through so much. I think people just want from her. She's a really good girl, really good kid, and I just wish people would stop abusing people and using them. It's just, but when you're a public personality, you have to understand being attacked too. It's kind of part of the,
yeah,
you know,
it's part of the package, isn't it? Really, unfortunately.
unfortunately, yeah. But she's got a lot of people that really love her, so she's got good people to take over that negative stuff that she has to deal with. There's good people that love her through it and support her through it, and we're all pulling for her when she's, being under attack. I certainly know what that feels like, and it's terrible.
Mm.
So to see anybody else under it, it breaks my heart because it feels awful.
Mm. Yeah, I've seen a lot of the attacks on her when I was staying with her, so and she sent me a lot of the messages and stuff that she gets, and it's pretty disgusting, really, to be
It
honest
is
with it.
disgusting. I get
Yeah,
the message under the hate mail is horrible. The hate speech,
yeah,
very hard on the heart. You know,
mm.
I don't know. Well, I know I always tell her to say hello, but I think I'd one day like to become better friends with her. I just want to leave her be. She's influxed with so many people that want from her. So I just kind of keep my distance.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just trying to help her at the moment. Really, obviously, she's going through a tough time, so I just think she knows that someone she can trust and talk
Oh,
to.
that's the hard part, Taj, being able to trust people. Who do we trust? I trust you, thank goodness. We've
Um,
developed a nice friendship, thank goodness, and
Thanks.
it's very, very hard for me to trust. I'm very appreciative for what you and I have, and even you taking the opportunity to interview me. I'm a little nervous today, by the way. I have so much nervous energy. I'm
Mm,
feeling yeah, vulnerable today, very vulnerable today.
That's okay. I mean, I'll try and put you at ease if I can.
Oh,
If there's anything that is on your mind at the moment or anything you specifically want to talk about, then we can just go ahead and talk about that, really.
all right. Well, I'll just make my background as quick as I can. Um, I am a former project program kid involved in Super Soldier, Montauk, Monarch, and other hidden programs that aren't really talked about quite often. And I grew up as an enhanced supernatural child and teenager. I was enhanced with my abilities. So I have different abilities than most people that have abilities. Mine are enhanced, and kind of the term I've given it is like the supersonic type ability to me. Excuse me. And um,
When did you first find out about your abilities?
I found out at the age of 3.
Oh, that's quite
And
early. Yeah.
early, I have very vivid memories of all of my childhood, having these extraordinary abilities to move things and move, a tree in a bunch of trees, or move things with my mind, hear people's thoughts and secrets.
Mm.
I could hear everything negative in the world. I could hear everything negative in an individual, and I could hear their soul screaming to me to help them
Right.
figure out their mind and their heart's communication. But not only that, strong empathically, and I could feel entire countries' worths of their matrix of society, whether they're depressed or hungry or starving or oppressed. And there's a lot of negative energy that I felt throughout my entire life. And I've lived as a targeted individual since I've been in utero, through my uh, toddler years, childhood years, teenage years, and early adult years. I'm not quite certain when the military program stopped. I'm still trying to uncover truths about that. Um,
Were your family in the military?
my family was in science, military industry. I have some descendants from Nazi Germany who exposed Hitler. Um, deep, deep family that goes all the way back to Tyrol, where mind control began.
Mm.
um, Very layered in science, a lot of medical people, a lot of lawyers, a lot of military throughout my entire Seebacher background. And my other background is Creed, and they're even deeper into the science, the military, and sort of all of the elite sort of grouped industries between law, military, and science. So it's been very, very thick with the mind control in my life, and I've lived as a targeted individual my entire lifetime up until now. And I've taken something, very, very traumatic, and for the last almost 14 years now, I've turned it into something good, and I help people now. I counsel and I teach. Um, I had been seeking my whole life to understand waking nightmares that I've had since I've been a little child, and they were tumultuous, disgusting, disgraceful waking nightmares, which I've later learned were called regressed memories because they were happening when I was awake, doing mundane things. And tried to chase down what was wrong with me, and I tried to find healing in the New Age movement. And I just kind of kept going against the principles of what was being taught to me. Nothing felt right. Nothing was healing right. So I developed something called psychic soul counseling, and in the MySpace days, I got very famous very fast. I became a famous psychic. I became a syllabus creator for several schools of the psychic soul counseling course. I taught soul healing. Many people write books about it now. I created that syllabus. And I also began investigating the ancients, the ancient his and herstory, the ancient etymology, ancient art forms, alchemy, astrology, all of those ancient arts that I had been learning throughout my years, starting at the age of 8. I began reading my first. So I've been seeking my whole life and researching my whole life. And when I'd found out what a targeted individual was, what a super soldier was, what a monarch sex slave was, all of these regressed memories became very um, put together in a puzzle, and I knew what to do with it. So I put it right into this community, and it took off a lot. When I interview, we get a lot of interference on my shows.
That's
I
fine, yeah.
I do try to teach people, no matter what type of shape they're in, or if they don't think that they have abilities, every single person on this planet has abilities, able abilities, capable abilities. Whether people think they're closed off or blocked or don't have them, it's to the contrary. We all have them, and I teach an individual how to develop them and how to enhance them so we can use them in today's society. We're living in a black magic society that has been set up thousands and thousands of years ago in flux of lies upon lies, layers and layers of lies. So I teach people how to develop and enhance their abilities to use for psychic self-defense, to use for inner change, to become empowered, to live through this layered lying black magic system. So that's what I do, Tajinder. That's exactly right.
Right,
And I'm
okay. Can you
good at
talk can you talk about any of the techniques that you use to do this?
it. Yes. First and foremost, everybody is learning all of this amazing knowledge. We're uncovering all of these lies. We're learning a lot of things that are shattering us. When we have believed in something our entire lives and we hear the truth about it, it can shatter us. And then we go on and we go learn something new. We keep learning. But everybody is forgetting to stop and say, hey, what do I do with all of this knowledge? It's scary. It's freaking me out. I'm being targeted now. I'm awake and aware. I'm terrified. It's ugly. And nobody knows what to do with all that knowledge that they're learning. So, the first and foremost thing I teach and I urge everybody to learn is an energy system. And an energy system consists of learning grounding techniques, grounding to our earth is very, very important. Human and woman living on this planet, and nobody is taking any time during their day to ground to our planet to get balanced with their chakras and emotions. So energy work has layers to it and many, many steps to it. I either through a man named Cameron Day. He teaches a similar system to me. I teach a different system, but
You were talking about grounding people. It's important to ground yourself.
okay. So
I
with
know.
all of this knowledge that everybody's learning, right? I mean, you've learned all of these new things that have uncovered lies, and you're feeling depressed and you're seeing, symbology in buildings, and how do you protect yourself? What do you do with that information? So I come in and I teach foundation, Taj. I teach foundation for people, the skills that they need to have while they're learning these uncovered lies, while they're learning truths. We need to have foundations. And some of the foundations are energy clearing work. Energy clearing work consists of grounding, purging energy, reclaiming your own energy, peeling back layers, minimizing your ego, purging out more, grounding again, and shielding techniques. And nobody is doing this. I get clients in every single day, broken people that don't know what to do with their shattered lives, and virtually a handful are only doing energy work. So I want to teach foundation to people. I want to teach them how to live in this world because we are living in energetic war and nobody is using energy to clean themselves. So if you go outside and you get your hands dirty, you go and wash your hands. Why wouldn't somebody want to do that with your energy? Your energy gets dirty. Most people are allowing it to get dirty and stay dirty. And when your energy is dirty, demons attach to it, parasitic hosts happen, possession happens, archons come in, Narcissists come in, all of these horrible things start happening to a person. Bad luck sets in, no job promotion. You just, your life becomes chaotic because your energy is dirty. So if we're brushing our teeth and washing our hands and cleaning our bodies, why aren't we cleaning our energy? Why aren't astral layers and our chakras and our energy bodies? We've got 144,000 energy bodies in the human and human body, and nobody is cleaning it. I recommend energy work and foundation work. I teach it, or I send people to learn it if they don't want to learn it through me.
Okay. I think for a lot of people, they don't understand a lot of it. You know, it's especially when you start to wake up, um, you get bombarded with information from every direction, don't you? Really, it's like it's a bit overwhelming for a lot of people to work out what is true, what isn't true, what they need to do to help themselves in a way, really.
Right.
And you get a lot of people, they go after these people who are waking up and attack them, and even people who think that you are helping you are actually, in a way, sort of feeding off of your energy.
I
Um,
I
do you
think
want?
it's very confusing, and there's so many problems that we're learning about. Why aren't we learning about solutions? And I write the word solution with SOUL, solution.
Mm,
I want to teach solutions to these problems. I want to show people that there is help and hope. You can live a good, decent life through this tumultuous, lying black magic system. We are beautiful, supernatural creatures, and we're not even using, more than 14% of our brains. I want to teach people how to push past that, how to protect themselves and feel good while they're
mm.
learning and uncovering the problems. It's all about energy, Taj. It really is. It's all about our supernatural abilities. And unfortunately, there's not enough people out there offering solutions. I offer counseling. Um, I've been doing counseling a long, long time. I have a session work. I call it phone time and session work. My sessions run between 3 to 4 hours. I give a lot of myself. I run a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week hotline for people to call in crisis. I'm here to help people kind of unravel and put themselves back together in a place of empowerment. And we all start with foundation and basics. We
Mm.
learn it that way growing up, do we not? We crawl before we walk. So I want to teach people how to stand up, now from the crawling position and learn foundation. Very,
That's
very
a
important.
Go ahead.
Very, very important to learn the energy system. Grounding, shielding techniques are very, very important. We're going out in society, we're watching YouTube. When somebody watches something that uncovers this, this big lie that you've known all of your life, what if you've known this for 40 years and you finally discovered this is a big lie, and you get off YouTube and now you've got all of this stuff in you. Nobody is even cleansing their energies when they get on and offline. I mean, I teach this as foundation. I've lived this. I live using energy work. I've used it over a decade. It works. I am a walking, talking target. I am targeted terribly every single day. Some form of chaos enters my life on a purposeful level. And I am proof that energy systems work. They work. They eradicate the demon. They eradicate it. They birth change inside of you. They birth power inside of you. Your supernatural abilities increase when you're using energy work. Um, but you've got to learn it. So where do you learn it? Where do you learn energy work? You go back to either looking online to learn grounding and shielding techniques. Those are two definitive things that we all need to learn: grounding and shielding. And then the middle part of that is the energy clearing systems. And I don't know if anybody could just type on Yahoo, a search engine or something, energy clearing systems, and see who comes up. I generally send people either to learn with myself or to learn with a man named Cameron Day. He teaches a similar system to mine. I do my step two much, much different than he does, but it's his system is really good. It's very simple to learn. It's free. And I urge everybody to learn cleanse the shield and energy hearing. Mandatory. Mandatory for the
Okay. As part of like the foundation work, a lot of people they have quite bad diets, and obviously they are attached with water and the water that they drink, the food that they eat, the chemtrails, and everything else.
right.
How do they? Does that included in the foundation work? How you protect yourself from those type of things?
Okay, now here's where the really great stuff happens. You can do wonderful things with your body, with nutrition, dark green foods, probiotics. Get your digestive system clean. Your digestive tract needs to move, everybody. You need to clean your digestive system. It will acclimate you to higher levels of consciousness. It's a sort of energy purging in itself. Eating dark green foods, eating lots of fruits and vegetables, nuts, adding probiotics, adding papaya, eating smaller meals. But the key I really want to bring out is, even though not everybody is at optimum health, you can still use, develop, and enhance your abilities, even in the worst body, even in the most stuffed up body, obese body, handicapped body, somebody that takes medicine every day. We are still supernatural people. I don't want everybody to think that you have to be, tiny and skinny, perfect diets. Of course, it's wonderful, and I urge everybody to get healthy. But some people can't. Some people need medicine. Some people need, I'm handicapped. I walk with a cane. I have chronic Lyme disease that I've been fighting for, over 30 years. I still have enormous supernatural abilities. I use an energy system, but I do also take care of my body. The one thing I urge everybody to do who can't afford to eat well is to drink water, and drink a lot of water, and also put water in a spray bottle and have that spray bottle in every room in your home if need be. Water is so sacred. It is not only predominantly made up of, the entire world is predominantly water. Uh, our bodies are predominantly made up of water. They're called cells. And there's memory to our cells. Scientifically, it's called somatics, cellular somatics. It's the memory of the cell. And water also retains memory, as most of us know with Dr. Masaru Emoto's work and
Hmm.
other people who went beyond Dr. Emoto's work. There is memory retention in water. So we want to program our water, whether we're running it in a shower or a bathtub, washing our faces, washing our hands, drinking it, and spraying it. We want to bless the water. We want to program that water. Water is sacred, Taj. Without water, there's no life. Woman, animal, plant cannot live without water. It is sacred. It is an ancient tool to use for self protection, for self defense, for changing the programming in your body, changing the cellular programming. Your DNA programming can be restructured, reprogrammed just by talking to yourself, reprogramming your body's somatics, your DNA somatics, water somatics, retains memory. So drink blessed, programmed water. Put it in a bottle, talk to that bottle, put the spray cap on, write a word outside on the bottle. You can change your word. Just take a post-it note and tape your word on that you want to use for the week, and program that water. It sounds silly. It's backed with science, I assure you.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of the work to do with
If-
that, to do with water.
Yeah, I want to
Um,
let people know that there's a lot of free help. There's free help for artificial intelligence and brain mapping. I mean, there is free help out there, and the earth has given us water. So let's start using water and our bodies give us a voice. So let's start talking to that water, and let's start talking to ourselves. So when we step out of bed in the morning, the first thing I do is I say like a ritual rhyme, um, and I claim my sovereignty. And that's really important to do, to claim, to start reprogramming your own matrix. So I say something like, I am sovereign, I am free, I own my own energy, I am sovereign, I am free, only I can govern me. And then I claim it as my Jolene JoJo Seebacher self. And we start with these foundations. So the somatics and the water would also be considered foundation work, foundations to use that work.
Mm. I think a lot of the problem is the water on this planet is so it's being destroyed, with pollution and radiation and everything else. It's like it's almost sacrilege, isn't it, to do what we're doing to it, to our oceans and our seas.
Let me tell you, I know it's very sad what is happening to our seas and oceans and rivers. Um, there are actually answers to that. You can change chemtrails with a simple frequency sound coming out of your root chakra. I teach that. I teach how to eradicate chemtrails from your sky using your voice, using a tone. You can change water just by buying, they're selling these bottles now. They've been selling them for decades, but they're becoming popular now, where you can take, muddy water filled with, pollutants, and put it into one of these bottles, and the bottles will filter it into pure water. I know GBG has one. I know there's ads all over Facebook for these bottles. So there are purification bottles that you can buy to purify your water. I live in the country, so I have well water. I'm very, very blessed. But we're all breathing in these nanotoxins with the chemtrails and the pollutants in the air and the fluoridated water and the GMO foods. So, how do we clean ourselves out? We have supernatural abilities, Taj. We have free availability to clean our bodies out of all of that nano stuff, all of those pollutants. So, there's really no excuse for me. I, there's no problem that I won't find a solution for.
All right. Um, you do a lot of work with enhancing psychic abilities. That's an area that I'm quite interested in, and I was wondering if you talk a bit about that. How do people who think that they don't have any psychic abilities, how do they sort of switch that on, or how do they improve it?
Oh, that's a question. I have a group on Facebook. It's a little inactive right now, but we have fun learning our psychic abilities. I recommend playing games with yourself. There are so many things you can do to have fun learning your psychic abilities. There's you can make your own Zener card set, or you can download an app now. I think they have an app for Zener cards on the App Store. You can start with Zener cards. You can buy yourself a box of crayons. Just pick out the primary colors, dump them on the floor, close your eyes, pick up a crayon. I want you to really feel it. I don't want you to think about it. I want you to feel it. And I want you to listen to the first pop of consciousness that comes into your mind before your heart takes over that feeling and tells you it's not right. And you play around and start guessing the colors of the crayons. You can do it in the car if you're driving. There's a car in front of you. You want to imagine what way they're going to go. Will they go left? Will they go right? Will they go straight? If you're going to a supermarket or a store, you can envision the parking space of your dreams. You can figure out how many cars or trucks will be there, what colors they'll be, how many of each there'll be. You want to test yourself. You want to build yourself up. So it's fun to learn your supernatural abilities. It is so much fun to teach the classes on development. Those are just a few ideas I could give you just to start practicing your third eye ability. We all are extraordinary. We all have it.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is to do with the people that don't use it or haven't used it, their whole lives, and so they don't know how to to turn it on or how to use it because they've never used it their entire lives. But I
That's
think even simple things like your sixth sense or stuff like that is another version of being psychic.
Let me tell you though, Taj, that's not true. Every human being has used their psychic intuition throughout their life. Whether they've listened to it or not is another thing.
Yeah, that's
They
true.
get ideas in their mind. They're driving down the road and think maybe they should turn left, and instead they get caught in a traffic jam and they should have taken that left. Our consciousness, our psychic self talks to us all the time. We all hear it. Whether we listen to it or not is another thing. So we do have it. We all have it. We've all heard it. We've all felt it. We've all felt somebody's emotions, which is more empathy, psychic empathy. We've all been able, to do things that we're not even aware of. Some people can knock lights out on the streets with their anger. Um, it is there. It's just not. People aren't aware that that's what it's called. They call it the little voice in their head, or I had a feeling, or that's coincidence. So yeah, people have had this all their life, and they just haven't acknowledged it.
Yeah, I get like sometimes if I know something bad's going to happen, I get a feeling just before it happens, and I sort of get like an instinct to I'm about to do something to either not do it or cancel it or something like that. It's almost like something's telling you, don't go there or don't do that. Something will happen. You
That's
know.
premonitory, premonitory intuition. So it's
Mm.
premonition, sort of like a premonitory premonition intuition. That's a really keen skill to work on. And you can increase it just by simple testing yourself. Card games, crayons, following cars. Um, even when we get right down to techniques, we go into meditation and things of that nature to even increase it more. But you can totally increase that where you can start predicting things and even test yourself with your own predictions. Write it down, and then follow the next week or month until you can kind of gear when your premonitory notions tell you a timeline. If you get a feeling and it doesn't happen for a week or it doesn't happen for a month, you can sort of gauge your premonitory abilities by keeping track of them so you can figure out what timeline they show up in.
Mm. Yeah, that happens to me a lot, really. That type of I feel something's going to happen, and if I don't listen to it, I end up it happens, and I think, oh, why didn't I just listen to myself?
Yeah.
Should listen to my instincts more, really. Is that like your higher self talking to you in a way?
Yes, exactly. That's exactly it. That's your soul self, your higher self, or your energy self. Yeah, and oh, believe me, we all do that. I've done it myself. I wish I would have done what I knew I should have done. Don't be hard on yourself though, but learn to trust that, Taj. Learn to really trust yourself. We are very powerful, and you're obviously a very powerful premonitory envisionist. So trust that. Trust it.
I think a lot of people don't though, do they? Because in a way, people are so busy with their everyday lives and paying their bills and going to work and everything else on top of that, that they don't have time to even look into this type of thing, or even if they do look into it, they don't look into it particularly deeply.
You know,
So
I
I
don't know. See, I have an answer for that too, because 17 years ago, I worked and I made really good money and I had really great jobs throughout my life. And I still found time for myself to work on myself and to learn what I was and who I was. And I, I know not everybody has the availability to be awakened when you're a tiny little child, and seek it all of your life. But when you're awakened and you're working, you will chase the rabbit. So I suggest to stay on one topic, but make it about yourself, not about what you need to learn to uncover a lie. Learn about your potential to live through that truth now that the lie is uncovered. So, again, I mean, I'm a solution person. You can still work and function in this world. You can even find happiness in work, depending if you're using your soul's potential to be working a job that you're supposed to be in versus working the grind, for the man, for the L's.
Mm.
Um, but there is always a way to find balance. There's always a way. I'm just one to, I don't take excuses very easily. That's why I do the counseling. I have solutions. I can offer you an answer why you think something is so no, 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 and I'll let you see a different way, because there will always be a way, even in its grimmest, darkest, scariest looking place. There is always a way out. I'm living proof of it.
Yeah, I
And
think it's, go ahead, go ahead.
I've faced some, I've faced demons, I've faced trauma, I've faced abuse, I've faced, you know, rigorous things with the government and military. I've faced extreme narcissism my entire life and my marriages, family, handlers, ghosts, possessions, um, bad luck, not getting the job promotion, being gang stalked, having spells put on me, finding spell objects around my home and doorsteps. I have been faced with literally everything, targeting with the pitch tones in my ear, implants, I've had heart attacks, attacks, you name it, I've been through it. I have found my way out of every single one of those horrible, tumultuous, scary, no hope feeling things that I have always found a way out. So there is always a way out.
I think a lot of it's to do with also the people that you surround yourselves with. I find that if you're waking up and you have a lot of negative people who don't really want you to wake up or don't believe in any of this, you find it much more difficult. I think since I've surrounded myself with, positive people, people who are awake, probably more awake than me, it wakes me up even more. And I think for a lot of people, especially targeted people, they are surrounded by people who don't want them to wake up. They want them to stay in their mundane lives and get on with their 9 to 5 jobs, and they don't listen to that inner voice. They listen to the people around them, and I think that's a lot of a problem as well for some people.
Oh, certainly. I totally agree with that. I actually teach these things called modules dealing with narcissistic people and toxic people. And many of these are our family members. And, sometimes the best defense is to detach from all toxic people, and you'll find yourself gaining the right, healthy minded people. None of us are perfect, Taj. We all have idiosyncrasies about us, but there are certain toxic people that will keep a person down. Now, when you're awakened too, and, even in the public, we face a lot of hatred and gang stalking. And sometimes the best defense is having no defense at all and just walking away from it, or blocking people, blocking them from even being in your energy arena, and you awaken even further.
Yeah, I think I try my best anyway to be considerate towards people, but it is quite difficult at times when people are attacking you, and you have to take it a certain way. I think it's not an attack on you. I think in a lot of ways it's just the problem is with them, and in a lot of ways they're the ones who have the problem, not you. And I often try and even if someone is attacking me, I try and help them in some way.
I
You know,
agree. I agree. That's a smart way to be. There's a way to nullify some of this narcissism and gang stalking by doing exactly what you're speaking about. Showing a compassionate state, but standing in strength and saying, hey, that's wrong behavior. Figuring out a way to talk to these people where they can't have a reactive state is a very good place to be, but it takes practice to get there. When we see a lot of toxic people, we also have to remember we're living in a black magic system. This system has been developed thousands of years ago and set in place for us. So a lot of people have hosts and possessions and attachments that are actually speaking through them.
Mm.
You're noticing a group of people, and maybe let's say three different people are saying identical statements or treating you identical, or you're having the same identical experience with, let's say, two or three different people. You'll know those two or three different people are hosted by the same type of frequency entity or the frequency demon family that it's attached to. And that is a new phenomenon that's being spoken about. It's not a new phenomenon, it's a new subject being spoken about. I've been speaking on demon possession for at least a decade, and it's finally coming to light now, like with Evie Lorgan and James Bartley and Bernard Gunther. There's some great people out there talking about this hosting and possession phenomenon in the gang stalking or in the targeted individual's life of the narcissism or toxic people, around implanted in our lives. So they're possessed or hosted or stuck with parasitic entities. So we have to start recognizing that too. If you're seeing patterns of the same speech in different people, you know that it's a frequency anomaly of an entity or a demon or an archon or that family thereof matching that frequency in those same groups of people saying the identical things. Has that happened to you where you've heard somebody repeat like a
Yeah, yeah, I've had that as well. But I've also had like I've been talking to someone for months and months, and then I'll contact them. I won't contact them for a few weeks, and then I'll specific person I contacted recently, and they said, "Who are you?" They didn't recognize me. They didn't know who I was. And it took them like half an hour to actually work out who I was. So I was thinking like, well, who was I talking to for the last 2 or 3 months then? If you don't remember, if you don't even remember me,
wow,
and it's almost like maybe I was talking to an alter or some entity that was attached to them,
could be.
and it took them a while to actually figure out who I was, even though we had daily conversations for a while. So that was a
Now,
bit of a weird experience, really.
was that an awakened person that you had been communicating
I thought they were, but not now. No, I don't think they were. I don't think they are as awake
with?
as I thought they were.
Maybe they were awakened and they were hosted or possessed by something that just kind of took them over, let them get back to themselves. This is where energy work and grounding and shielding, and I mean really working on your energy to get these things out of us. When we have anger that comes out of nowhere, or we wake up and we're sad for no reason at all, it could be more than just the brain mapping programs. It could be entity attachment or hosting or possession. So we really want to use these foundations of energy clearing, get ourselves grounded again and shield up and protect our energy. It's a
Mm.
sneak system that they created. I mean, they're thousands of steps ahead of us. And, Taj, we're on a very, very unfair playing field in this game we call life. They've lied to us about everything, right down to our language, right down to religions. All of these things have been huge lies, our education, the government, the money system, everything. And, you know, we really need to be so responsible with our energy to really make some kind of change. Maybe our group, like the bases group and our group of friends and the active ones in our community, maybe we're the pioneers for the change to come and take this black magic system down. No, that's a huge statement to make, and I'm not saying it from an egoic place, but I want to see this system down. I want to see change, but I don't know if we'll see it in our lifetime. You know,
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I mean, I've sort of developed I would say I'm quite empathic. I pick up on people's feelings very quickly. And when I'm talking to certain people, I know if they have good intentions or bad intentions, or I can read people quite quickly. And I think being in bases, a lot of people come to me for help or advice or stuff like that, and I try and be as honest to people as I can without being too, I don't know how to put it.
without compromising yourself, without
Yeah,
getting yourself into trouble. And
yeah,
so, like when you're dealing with, let's say, somebody like that person that didn't recognize you and it took you a half an hour, when you got off the phone with them, did you, the thing I would recommend is getting rid of their energy, throwing it to the ground and realigning your chakra system and then putting shift up over yourself, reclaim your energy, and then you're set back in your own body again. So you don't have any of that person's attachment. Anytime I'm in and out of the bases group, I mean, that's a wild bunch of people in there, really.
Yeah, they are. They are a wild bunch. Yeah.
Yeah. That's got extreme energy in there. So even when I go in there, as soon as I get out, I'm like, there's so many different techniques to get rid of energy. Like I could sometimes brush my own arms and legs and body off and my hair and stuff and throw it to the ground and then, just kind of balance myself and re-shield. I do these little steps in between, of course, but that is intense energy in there. Now, if somebody is in there, and they're arguing back and forth and they get offline and then they go to bed and they wake up the next day, they might be in this pissy ass mood. Excuse me for swearing. Pissy
Right.
mood. All this kind of bad stuff happens throughout the day. They drop their coffee cup, they get stains on their clothes, and they wonder why they're having such a bad day. They didn't clean their energy from being, in bases the day before, arguing back and forth between each other. So it's really important we clean our energy and take
Mm.
responsibility. It helps so much, Taj. I'll teach it to you if you want, rather than sending you to Cameron Day.
That would be good. Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I've sort of stepped away from bases recently,
I have
and
to.
started doing my own stuff because, like you say, it's pretty intense. And I was on, I don't know if you monitor the bases group, but I post like 20 or 30 articles and bits of research I do every single day for a while, and it gets to a point where you think like, what's the point? Sometimes it's like, is anybody even, reading any of this, and am I making a difference at all?
I think maybe we need a new group where a bunch of us positive people who don't argue, who have good things to say, who don't want to deal with the chaos, maybe need to coordinate something. There's lots of good groups out there, but
Mm.
I think ACEs is one of the really, I mean, there's a lot of perps in there, there's a lot of narcissism in there. But listen, there's unsafe groups all over Facebook. I literally keep Facebook just so people can contact me for counseling and teaching. I'm really not even active on Facebook. I may spend, 15 minutes a day, if that, sometimes not even. I spend very, very, very little time on the Facebook because it is such a narcissistic community everywhere you seem to turn these days. There's always somebody with a debating, and I don't mind a good debate. Debating is healthy, but when you're bringing and assaulting somebody's character or saying all this cruel stuff, that stuff becomes narcissistic, toxic abuse, and I don't fare well with that. I've lived with that my entire life. I've broken that habit, so I just kind of I have not basis. It's been a more of a targeting to post anything there for myself than it is anything healthy. So I just kind of post my own wall and in certain groups. But we find it everywhere, Taj. It's good that you have these abilities empathically, to psychically empathically know if that person is toxic or not. And it's not that we don't want to eliminate the toxic person. If we can help them in any way, wonderful. But it gets to a point where if somebody is just really not going to help themselves, it's time to sever that relationship. And if basis is bringing more pain than it is happiness, it might be time to leave for a little while. Check back in a month or so and see, see if you really need it again. But maybe it might be something we can form a new coalition and start something new. I don't know. I don't want to do anything against Miles, of course, but we do need solutions now. We don't need more aggravation to the problems.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I mean, Mars has done a lot of great work, but a lot of his interviews, you know, give you a lot of information, but they don't tell you how to deal with it. They tell you, oh, you could be a super soldier. You've had all this happen to you. You know,
I,
but what do I do now then? Now that I know all this, what do I do? You know,
I,
where do I go for that?
yeah, and I agree. I've been trying to talk to Miles for at least a year to get on his show. He doesn't want those answers. He really doesn't. He's shunned me a zillion times. I like Miles. I adore him. I support him. If it weren't for bases, and a certain several people in bases, I wouldn't know what to have called myself throughout all of these 5 decades of waking nightmares. I wouldn't have known the term super soldier. I wouldn't have known monarch sex slave. I wouldn't have known I knew Montauk. I just didn't know it was a government, a known government project, but and tag and all of these other projects that I've been in, I would never have names to had it not been for Miles Johnston. So I thank him very much. But I did try to have Miles interview me several times, and I've basically been laughed at, ridiculed, demeaned, or made to feel bad. So I stopped. I stopped asking Miles, and I've just kind of been interviewed by the right people who want solutions. And I don't mind. I don't want the notoriety like some of these basis people have. I'm not there. I'm not there
Mm.
for myself. I'm here for everybody else. No, I don't want anything out of this.
Yeah, I think I've come to the conclusion that I've sort of learnt everything I can learn from bases at the moment, so I'm moving on to other things.
I think
Um,
channel, and I really like Terry Joyce. I like her channel. I like Catherine Buckaloo. She's got a truth channel. There's some really good people who want to do things the right way now,
mm,
and I really support what you're doing, Tajinder. Your interview with Terry Joyce was fantastic. You guys talked about things that need to be talked about, and I
mm.
support your channel. I support her channel. I hope Catherine comes back. I really do. There's some good people out there, and I really want us all to group together and work together now to help people through this and to unite as allies. I want real friendships and real community and a family sort of feeling, because many of our families are very unhealthy for many of us targeted individuals. We've left our families. So, I'm still trying to create a targeted individuals home here. I've been working over a year now to collect people to come live in the Poconos with me in Pennsylvania in the United States. And I do hope that comes to fruition where I can help teach people their own healing and develop their abilities and teach them self-defense, and whether they stay here or go out on their own, and get a new set of people. And I really hope to have that. I am a very active person in this movement. I'm not here to teach symbology or etymology, or to teach supernatural abilities and how to defend yourself and how to live and how to change, how to remove demon attachments off of you that are called bad behavior, how to live through targeted life and survive it, and not only survive it but supersede over it. So, I'm active, and I want to thank you and people like Terry Joyce and Catherine Buckaloo for having the courage to put people like myself and yourself out there to really procure wanting to help now.
Mm.
We've heard a lot of information. We're processing that information. It's now time to create allies and strength and unity and help one another.
I agree with you totally, Jolene. But it's difficult because we seem to be in a minority, and it's almost like David and Goliath. I feel sometimes, that there's a few of us and there's a lot of them, whoever them you may call them. Um,
Is
go
There
ahead.
is more and more of us, though. There's a lot more and more of us. I mean, I've got, dozens and dozens of really good friends on Facebook that are very active, good natured, good souled people that work on themselves, that work
Mm.
this system, that get rid of their own demons and other people's attachments and work on themselves. There's a lot of us, Taj, It's
Mm.
time maybe we all call each other in. Maybe it's time.
We need to get together. You know, we need to coordinate some kind of
We
group
really,
or some kind of, you know, way of getting together, really, because it's a bit fragmented at the moment, I think.
it's a fragmented, and I know about maybe a decade or maybe about 14, 15 years ago, I wanted to create these healing centers. And that still would be one of my agendas to have this healing house for TIs or newly awakened. But there's so many of us in our community. I mean, you just spent several days with young Sarah. She teaches nutrition and astral dimensional traveling and things like that. And maybe I teach this sort of thing. And, other people teach, hyperdimensional warfare, what have you. Let's get all of us together and for
Mm.
work a community that people can come to us for help. Maybe we make a help group or something. I'm not quite sure. I have a very private group. It's very, very strict on Facebook because I don't tolerate abuse or narcissism in there. And
Yeah, Sarah has a similar group.
yeah, it's very important for us to maintain those levels. I think I'm part of her group on Facebook. I won't mention the name because I want to keep her safe. But mine has a strict, you have to private message me and we have to go through a phone session before I'll allow you into my group. It's Spiritual Life Journeys, but it's private and I don't just allow anybody to come in. You have to be screened and screened thoroughly. You have to be there to be helpful and kind. It's all about being kind now too. You can be strong, and I'm a strong woman. I don't take any garbage, but I am a really kind, loving, elevating, uplifting, nurturing person. And we all need to start using new vocabulary and you know, compassionate vocabulary and kind vocabulary. And we can stop a lot of this demonic frequency activity just with our compassionate vocabulary. We have that kind of power to, a couple of people together can eradicate demonic frequency just by using compassionate vocabulary.
Yeah, I mean, through bases, I set up the basis station meetings where, I mean, at the moment, it's still only the one group in my own town where TIs come together once a month and, you know, discuss their experiences, and we try and find, you know, some kind of, you know, common ground as to why they're being targeted and for what reason, and, you know, we go through their background and their history and talk stuff through, really. I think a lot of these people, they can't talk online to people because they don't know who they're talking to. When you're face to face with someone, you know who you're talking to, and you know if that person is sincere or not. Whereas on the internet, it's much more difficult to do that.
I so agree with you, and I commend you for those bases groups. I wanted to have one of the bases stations in America, but I didn't get any response to it. I didn't get any response from Miles. I know I'd spoken to you very briefly about it. I don't know when that started, maybe six months ago, you think?
Yeah, for about 4 months ago. Yeah, yeah,
I was happy to coordinate one in America here, but I just didn't get any response. So I'm still open to it. If Miles still wants to do it, I would be glad to have a station here, right here in the Poconos. Really active with helping, and I'm so glad you and I speak as friends. Um,
yeah. I
and I
mean,
know I denied my face on air. I'm just under a tremendous psychic attack right now, and I
yeah,
will eventually show my face on air. I'm just very humble. I'm very shy when it comes to that. It took me 37 years to take my own photograph, Taj. I've
yeah.
so
I don't even like watching myself on YouTube. Really, it's yeah. I never watch any of my videos or even listen to any of my radio shows because I don't like the sound of my voice, or I don't like, you know, that
oh
type of thing.
well, back in my day, we had tapes. The actual cassette tape. So our voices sounded so strange on a tape. Now I can tolerate my voice, but it took me 37 years to take my own selfie. The first selfie I took was at age 38 after my sister died. and I promised her on her deathbed I would stop doing that. And um, that was the first selfie I ever took was at age 38, and I'll be 51 in a couple of weeks. I take very, very humble about my appearance and very shy from the life I've lived, being so abused, emotionally abused, and uh, really mistreated my entire life. So it scared me to Skype. I'm so glad you did my voice instead of my face. I was so scared. One day I will, Taj, I promise.
That's okay. It's no problem. I mean, I try and make people feel comfortable. Really, I won't make anybody do what they don't something they don't want to do.
You're a good person. You're a really good friend too, and I'm so glad for people like you in the community. I'm very, very glad for the friends that I made on Facebook from MySpace. Some of my clients became friends of mine from MySpace and the MTV days and things like that. So they all kind of came with me too, and they're all good friends of mine for, well over 15 years now, and I've met some wonderful, wonderful people. But even on Facebook, I don't acquire a following. I don't want thousands and thousands of people. I really try to keep my Facebook around 600 people, but they are always revolving. So, there's
Yeah,
always,
I have like a routine. Like every couple of weeks, I go through my friends and start deleting people. Just, if anyone hasn't contacted me or hasn't messaged me or hasn't spoken to me, then I just delete them. Really, it's like, what's the point in people will friend you and then they won't even say hi or it's like, who are you? You know,
we do
so
have some algorithms on Facebook, though. I do know there's algorithms in place where they prevent the right people from talking to us on our timelines. You do realize that, correct? That
all
Facebook
right.
algorithm.
No, I didn't know that.
Oh my goodness, I've been trying to track this for a couple of months now. The algorithm that I've noticed so far was for myself, my personal experience, I get the same 5 to 6 people in the news feed for about 3 months, and then it rotates to a next 5 or 6 people I see in the news feed. I may not have seen a friend that had been commenting back and forth with
All
each.
right, yeah, I noticed that. I thought the news feed was, you can make certain friends like your favorite in Facebook. You put
Right.
I thought those ones appeared at the top of your news feed or appeared first. But
Do you
I'm noticing that doesn't happen.
Exactly, right? The same with me. I put the little star on the people that I want to see first, and I'm not even seeing them first in my news feed. I'm seeing these typical 5 to 6 people, and they influx. So I've started tracking it like seriously. I've noticed it for the last at least 3 months, but I started tracking it. I just wrote a post about it not more than a week ago about these algorithms. Now, you said also checking your friends list every couple of weeks. What I even go further is check your Facebook settings. Check your Facebook settings every couple of months. They'll change the settings on you. They'll change your privacy settings, especially those third party settings. You
Mm.
need to keep very active in your Facebook settings because Facebook will come out with changes and they'll make a post about it. You'll never see it in the news feed and they'll change your settings on you. Those third party authentications that you click yes to or that they'll change it back to yes authorizes any third party to use your personal phones, not your Facebook, your phones, your devices address book and track your sites, and they're not even affiliated with Facebook. They're beyond third party sites, and God only
Oh
knows.
yeah, I mean, I've been on eBay looking for stuff, and then a few hours later, I looked on Facebook, and on the right-hand side where the adverts are is all the stuff I've been looking for. People trying to sell me the stuff that I've just been looking for on eBay.
Yes,
You know, so it does happen. Yeah.
that's beyond a third party authentication. So you have to check the boxes 3 times on the no. Check the no box 3 times on the third party sites. And you have to do that even if you're an eBay shopper or an Amazon shopper or anything like that. They will they will nail you.
Mm.
I'm very, very, computers. I know nothing about computers. So I'm very, very private on the computer. And even if I'll go research somewhere, I will see ads similar to what I just researched on. I might see a book, with the same type of research content that on the website I was on earlier that day. I'll see it the following day. And I'm wondering how they are doing this. So I stopped using the Google search. That's affiliated with uh, alphabetical organizations. We'll just call it that right
Mm.
now.
Yeah.
And I would love to know more about computers and privacy and protection for my computer. I get hacked all the time. I get
Yeah, there
hacked.
are. I can tell you a few things you can do. Personally, I take it to extreme sometimes. Every few months, I'll completely wipe my laptop and just
That,
reinstall everything because I don't know what's installed there in the background, or if I start getting funny things happening on my laptop, then I will just wipe it.
about a month ago, I had somebody, I would never have known this had I not gone to Best Buy, and I had two devices. I was having problems with my one device, so they mailed me a new device, a replacement, and I took my device to get it, all my information switched over. And they had noticed I had spyware somehow attached to my battery. My battery was getting very hot. So what happened? There was spyware put in, and somebody was watching me through my camera. God only knows what, I don't even want to say God only knows. I don't know what was even seen. I typically even put a sticker over my camera on both ends of my cell phone device because people are nasty. I was doxxed about 3 months ago. I was publicly doxxed. All of my public information was out. I had to change all my banks. I had to change all my emails. It was horrible. And then I had the spyware, and I had accidentally had the sticker off of my self camera. Didn't have it. I still had it on the back camera, but I didn't have it on the self camera. And when I took it to Best Buy to get the data transferred, that's when the young girl told me, "Oh my God, you have somebody who's been watching you through
Mm.
this." And it turns out it was the person that had doxed me, and she was in a targeted individuals group. So we are very unsafe out there on Facebook. Facebook is a very bad place, people. It's be careful.
It's a useful tool, but I don't rely on it solely. Um, it's it is really the only way you can communicate. I mean, if you didn't have Facebook, how would we even have met?
I
You
agree.
know, so it's a useful tool, but it has its limitations, like in anything else, really.
And what do we do about that, right? Because it is a great platform of a social network, and I wouldn't have you or half the people that I've met on Facebook the last number of years. You have to use it wisely. We have to be wise. We have to clean our friends. We have to clean our settings just as much as we have to clean our energy getting on and off Facebook.
Mm.
When I go on Facebook, like when I go on to do an interview with you, I cleanse myself, my energetic self, and then I put shielding up. I put a shield up over me. I even do that to the device I'm talking to or the application, so we're protected to get the interview done.
Mm.
Uh, and the same when I get off Facebook, and I would urge everybody to do that too. Lots of attachments. Hey, even when we're talking with really good people, we still want to do this energy work ourselves. We might be talking to the most beautiful person, like you just spent several days with a beautiful young lady. Even though you're both beautiful, beautiful people, beautiful natured souls and hearts and minds, you still want to detach off each other's energy. It could be as simple as a shower and then shield yourself up. We always want to detach from the energy of others. We want to be responsible for ourselves.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, I think a lot of stuff does happen through Facebook where you get attachments, even like emotional attachments with people you don't even know, and or they will attach to you emotionally. I get messages from people I don't know, and I wonder, like, why is this person messaging me? What do they want to know? Are they spying on me? What are they trying to get out of me? Even stuff like that can be harmful to you as well.
Right. Well, also you're a public figure too, and you talk to a lot of public myself being a public figure.
Sorry, you're cutting out. You're cutting out,
Yeah,
Jolene.
hearing it again. I'm hearing it again. We get a lot of people that come to us that are phonies, Taj. We get a lot of fake people coming to us wanting something from us, or even coming in disguise of being good people and and virtually raping our energy. I mean, it's really
Well, yeah,
tumultuous. They're being,
fake profiles on Facebook is a big issue at the moment as well.
yeah,
You know, people just creating profiles to spy on
mhm.
people or to gang stalk people and that type of thing.
Sad, sad. It's ruined a lot of good people. Really
Yeah,
has.
yeah. I want to ask you a bit more about your work. I noticed you do a lot of things with like guides and or what you might call angels, your guardian angel, and that type of thing.
No, I do not. I used to. In fact,
I
my
used to. Sorry, I was looking at your website as I was trying to.
yeah, my
Uh,
website actually needs to be updated. I
mm,
learned a lot of wrong things in the New Age movement, which I now classify as the New Cage movement. Um, with my research into ancient his and her story, with the research of the archons, um, with the research of etymology, the word angel means serpent mistake. It means serpent abortion. I will not call in any angels anymore. I will not call in any ascended masters. My own personal experiences with angels and goddesses and ascended masters and gods, I've tried it all, Taj. It has ruined me. It has ruined me and it has ruined people. It has harmed more than helped. So I do not call in guides. I do not talk to extraterrestrial beings anymore. I do not talk to angels. I do not talk to archon, serpent mistakes. I do not talk to ascended masters like Saint Germain. When I started learning the reality behind New Age movement, that it was created by the Illuminati and set up, 300 years ago to take place when it took place in our time, it woke me up and I stopped doing Reiki. I stopped working with people's energies. I just I knew the answers now. I knew that it was the way it was to set up more possession, more hosting. When you're talking with angels and demons, and if you're calling them, when you're talking to angels and ascended masters and you're calling them in for somebody else that you're doing healing on, you're opening up their lives to tumultuous events taking place thereafter. But they would never pinpoint or associate with those angels or ascended masters being called in. Not many people can put 1 plus 1 together when they talk to a ascended master and then 3 weeks later they get looked over for the job promotion that they should have had, and it's all because that ascended master was called in. Nobody is putting that together. I put that together. So when I started learning the ancient stuff and etymology, the ancient meaning of words, um, when I started breaking down the ancient falsification of religion and how it's connected with government and all of these trinities, I stopped immediately. My website needs to be updated. Somebody just mentioned that yesterday to me too, because I
yeah,
had
no,
posted.
yeah, I'll talk to you about updating your website, and I've offered that I'll do it for you.
I
Um,
appreciate that. It needs to be changed because I do not want to confuse anybody. I did that a long time ago. I think the last activity I've had on my website might have been 2008. It's been that long since I've used Angel or anything. Now, the
mm,
past life regression and things like that, I do not tell people their past lives. I help to regress them to learn their own. So we even learned that wrong with the
mm.
past life regression. I will not tell anybody their past lives anymore. I made mistakes. I made errors in the new cage movement. I taught errors. I injured people. I thought I was helping. They thought I was helping. And I was responsible for whatever happened to them because of those angels and guides. Mediumship. I do not communicate with ghosts anymore. I've been seeing ghosts since I've been a 3-year-old child. I see them every single day of my life, just like I do with the demons. I see them every single day. I do not speak to them. I will not communicate with them. If they are not in 3D reality with me face to face, I want nothing to do with them. I want to know whom I'm talking to on a 3D level rather
Mm.
than assume that they're angelic or they're for my highest well-being.
No, I
Wouldn't you
thought,
feel safer talking to somebody 3D rather than a, terrestrial or an astral level being? I want to know who I'm talking to.
yeah, I talked a little bit about that on Terry Joyce's show about you don't know who you're talking to, like people who are saying they're channeling Max and stuff like this. Well, how do you know it's Max?
I
You know,
wish
I mean, It's
alone. Max needs to get through the grid and do what he needs to do with his own soul. People are interfering with that man's energy. We don't know what happens after death, only Max does right now. People need to leave him alone and let him get through the grid, let him get through all of that bullshit and leave him alone. This needs to stop. We have been taught wrong. It is an abomination against the human spirit. It is an abomination against the human soul. And it also has recourse on your own life to be doing that. So they think they're doing all this great stuff with this channeling. They don't realize the next couple of weeks or the next couple of years of their life, they're going to have tumultuous bad luck with bad events happening, and they're going to blame it on something else instead of channeling Max that day. It's garbage. I'm very, very firm about it. I'm very, very passionate not to call angelics in. Angelics are serpent mistakes. There is no good angelic out there, especially the four quarters of the angels, the archon angels. Those four quartered angels are the most demonic angels you could ever call in. And when I was working with the quartered angels back in the new cage system, it wasn't working. It was increasing the demonic activity when I would call in Michael or, or those angels for healing like Raphael. It would not help. And I couldn't figure out why. I chased that rabbit down that hole for a long time. It wasn't working. I wanted to find out. And thank goodness I was led to research. We need to really understand what we're doing. We're
yeah,
doing harm.
yeah, there are a lot of traps out there for people who are waking up and trying to find out about themselves really in a way. So you have to be careful, how you approach it, I guess.
Yeah, I really want to fix my website up so people can get the foundation, learn, some of the new laws here, the new energy laws based on the ancient research that we're all uncovering together. That's been there right under our noses the whole time. So I want to build these platforms and these modules for people. My website needs to be disintegrated and recreated at this point. I still do psychic soul counseling. I will not do guide work. I still do work with divination. I do work with philosopher's stones. I work with the I Ching. I work with stegomancy, and I work with something called soul cards. I do psychic soul readings. No more mediumship. No more past life, you know, um, telling you what your past life is. I will help you with regression, but that's it. So I'm very different now than I was. I think the website might have been built in 2003, and I got very, very sick with Lyme disease. I spent 3 years in a bed. So this is my second year out of a bed walking
Mm-hmm.
that the website has been in. I've never really needed the website, Taj, because my business has always been via the telephone and through MySpace. And Facebook was really just kind of like how people find me now. I
Yeah, yeah.
and I do want to get my store back up. I have very, very few products in Soul's Blessing shop right now, but I do create tachyonized products. I do create these things called ascension support products, protection device type things. I do crystal prescriptions and things of that nature. So it really all needs to be revamped. Probably the only thing that'll stay is something similar to my main page. And I still do the commitment series. It's a counseling series on taking steps to learn everything that we've talked about on air so far. Anything from grounding to energy, high self-defense, development, enhancement, and I'm saying MEANT, enhancement, development. So I do those modules. I still do the commitment series.
Okay. Um, I want to cover a little bit more about the TI area. I know I want to get your sort of take on why people are targeted. And I know that you had talked a little bit about you were in similar or the same places as people like Casbolt and Max at certain times, and whether
Yeah.
that has anything to do with why you were targeted, whether you have any memories of anything like that.
I have specific memories of the super soldier type that I was as a remote viewer, very similar to Alara Blackwell. Her and I are identical with the type of super soldiers we are. But I've been wanting to meet Max, and I've been waiting for James to get out of jail. And then, of course, Max passed away. I have been wondering why I lived on Sepulveda Boulevard in California the same time Max was there. We were about 4 blocks away from each other. I was in Canada at the same time. Both Casbolt and Max were there. I may have been in Vegas at the same time. Was definitely in New York at the same time. James was in New York. I never realized I might be a super soldier assassin. I don't even want to say that. I don't really have recollected memories, although I fit the criteria of like a spy and everything. I remember doing the spy work. I remember doing the remote viewing. I just don't remember anything being associated to anything like James or Max had gone through as assassins. But I'm still plagued, just plagued why I've been in these areas the same time those boys have. And I'm considerably older than each of them. I'm in, going into my 50s now. Um, so when Max and I lived near each other on the same road on Sepulveda Boulevard, 5415 is where I lived. In my 20s, I was with RCA Records, and I know I was being used at that time because NASA was involved. Believe it or not, there was a NASA engineer that would come to the recording studios and party with us. I was just a kid, and I have such blank years missing. But I've had these nightmares. I just don't have them specifically, with James or Max in an identifiable way. Although when I started investigating, when I found out the names of all of these things that I was, aka super soldier, super victim, I recognized several people. Max and I had an awful lot of things in common on some of the earlier things that I listened to. Uh, Miss Adams and I did too. I feel like I remember her from, children in cages being electrocuted. I don't talk about this on air, so I'm very, very emotional about. I remember my handler from Montauk. He's a bigwig on video and on YouTube and on Facebook, and he teaches, oversouling, and he was my handler all the way up to my. I still, can't look at that man without having an attachment to him. It was perverse memories, and it's very, very difficult to talk live on air. I am waiting for James to get out of prison, so I hopefully can at least speak with him and maybe, you know, uh, get some answers that I really need and want to figure out. Is I'm a little emotional about it because I was really, hoping to sort of meet Max. Um, and prior to his death, we were sort of getting aligned with the right people again. I feel like he would have unblocked me and I would have had my opportunity to speak. But then he passed away, uh, and so I'm just hoping for James to get out soon and I can really get some answers as to this side of the super soldiery that I participated or didn't participate in. I want to know why I'm in those areas the same time as those two boys. I've asked James Rink if he was in those places, and he couldn't definitively answer for me. But as for faces on the bases, it was like I knew these men, but I didn't know these men, and I didn't know. I don't have a definitive. I don't like not having a definitive. It's very uncomfortable.
Yeah, and I think the not knowing is, I think it's a lot of the issue with TI is, the not knowing what's happened, or,
Right.
I personally have started thinking about regression therapy, because of certain things I've been told about myself, but even I'm questioning what I've been told about myself through, our mutual friend, you
Yes.
know.
Tejinder, I feel very strong about that. If you're told by somebody, you know, I really urge you not to listen. If he's got a certain number of files that he has on you, I might believe that. He told me I have 950 files on me. I sort of believe it, but I did not believe a word he said because it didn't register with any of my own memories. So I
Mm.
really urge regression therapy with qualified people that are balanced, emotionally balanced people. He is far from emotionally balanced person.
Mm.
I would not trust somebody that's
No, I've
balanced.
sort of stopped communication with him, to be honest. But I have looked at regression therapy with a certain person who's appeared recently on Bases, and she specialises in regression therapy, and not only the therapy, but the the aftermath of it. You know, the dealing with the emotions and everything else that will
Right.
come with it as well. Because it's quite easy to regress yourself and get those memories and everything back, but then the therapist will just leave you to deal with it. You know,
Oh,
and that's not good either.
I
So
Well, I help the targeted individual understand their past lives, their genealogy, their ancestry, their blood type. We try to break it down as much as possible in the psychic soul counseling, in the teaching techniques, and I work on all that. I'm just not a regressionist. I'm not certified or licensed to do that. I technically could, but I do not. I don't want to mess around with that. I do send
mm,
people to two viable women that know their business, very balanced women. If you trust this person, I would trust your instincts. You knew something was wrong with the other guy, and I asked you to ask certain questions that he refused to answer. And, if somebody's not answering a question, then I would kind of run away fast. If I don't
mm,
know an answer to a question, I'm going to tell you I don't know that answer. Either I'll try to find it for you or I'll send you to somebody who can talk to you about it.
yeah, yeah, I
I
think go ahead, Joe.
I do want to figure this part of my life out. I've gone through the Monarch healing. I've gone still processing some of the Montauk stuff because I get triggered seeing my handler a lot. Um, and when I'm doing my own healing, I don't teach, I don't counsel, I work on myself. But also this thing, when I know you're communicating with James, and if there's at any time that you can talk to him about me, if he's willing to talk to me when he comes out, I don't know if it's 18 months from now or what have you, but I really would like some security there. I have a lot of stuff I've done healing on with the remote viewing and losing the soldier that I was for. I've done a lot of processing with that, but this assassin bothers me. I don't want to think that I am one. I know I was a definitive spy. Maybe I was the spy and Casbolt was the assassin, vice versa with Max. It feels sort of like that, but I'd really like to know. And when we meet people, like when we Skype or Google Hangouts or Zoom or even the Facebook phone, where it has video, that's where I know I can remember people when we're face to face, like when, James Rink and Max and Mike, when Michael Prince was Michael Prince, they all recalled one another. They all had experiences that they could all share with each other and say, oh, yes, this too. And so I'm really anxious to kind of meet James and have a face to face with him to see if he remembers me.
Mm. I know you talked a lot about the way you worked Supersoldier would be like remote viewing a
Yes.
person or a soldier and then telling them, this is coming or there's a soldier over there or so you may have been linked in some way to James in that you were telling
I
him things that are helping him in the field as it were.
I believe so because I was a definitive spy. I was definitely a spy, and I used my sexuality in the spy work. And I know I got a lot of hidden government documents and targeted documents for the military and government. I do remember remote viewing, definite memories, remote viewing for super soldiers, like typical real Navy SEALs over on missions in the Desert War and other wars similar that weren't even put on the television, syndicate news.
Mm.
Definitely Desert War. Um, I remember remote viewing for those viable physical Navy SEAL soldiers on their missions to go take out sheiks and certain targets there, and I've lost some of the people I was in the minds of. So that's the trauma that I suffered with that. Um, the tag program I learned through Gabriel Cruz, because I was enhanced in my womb with the supernatural abilities and placed in a life of handlers all over the place, as a targeted patient, they call us, having narcissism around us and being hated pretty much our whole lives. So I'm processed through that. I processed through the satanic ritual abuse of the Monarch stuff. And, that was on every county level of every place I've lived with my family, from Clinton, New Jersey to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania to the Poconos, right in every local county government, school system, doctor system. I mean, terrible. So this is like the last piece I want to put together with James. I don't have the opportunity with Max, and our beloved Max taught me so much, and I was really starting to pick up on the symbology, and it just was a very, very sad thing, because we were so close to talking again, getting lined
Mm.
up with the right people again. And I don't speak about this on my interviews, Taj. You're the first I'm talking about this. Miles wanted nothing to do with it. He claimed he didn't have money, and then I see him doing other people's videos. And thank goodness for Christine Hart. She interviewed me as a teacher and a counselor, and things like that. But I spoke very little on my project program stuff. I don't even really want to speak about it. It's not
Mm.
here for. I'm here to help with the
Okay.
answer. But I will speak on it. It needs to be spoken of. Terry told me that last time. I mean, it needs to come out.
I wanted to ask you your opinion on the secret space program, because I know James has said he's been to Mars and Max as well through the jump room on Sepulveda Boulevard. I
I
wonder if you remember, if you have any memories of Mars, or if you know anything about the secret space program.
The only memories I definitely have were related to Montauk and the time travel stuff, where they were playing around with different timelines and dimensions and things like that. And it was also MILAB involved with Montauk in the underground base, in the Plum Island base there. Um, I I don't have any recollective memories of being on Mars, although I have a lot of dreams and a lot of visions of, these red hazed visions. So I obviously have some placement there. I just don't have definitives. I really feel, speaking with James will bring this out, and it might have some association with him in Montauk, because there were boys used in that program. There were definite boys that I was involved in that program, laying in the chair and, being involved in these time gates, and these gates and these portals. And what they did to us was abhorring, abhorring. I've got even got goosebumps just even talking about it, because the one man he's right on Facebook. He's, brutal,
Yeah,
brutal.
I know who you're talking about. But I
And
mean,
it's frightening.
anyone who's looked into the Montauk Project will know it's pretty brutal, really,
Yeah, he
what they
was
were
my
doing.
Montauk handler. I wonder if that's where the secret space program originates out of, perhaps, or has some sort of affiliate to the Monarch program, or the Montauk Project, excuse me. Because the Montauk Project had a lot to it. It had the sex slave stuff in there, because there were some abhorring things that were done to us kids to be putting us in situations. There was time loops and time gates and time travel. There was genetic splicing of human and animal. There were a lot of torture there, and then there was a lot of the remote viewing done there as well. So it is a lot of stuff in that project alone that is not talked. And I don't want to expatiate on it, because I'm
Mm. Yeah,
angry. I don't want, I started naming names. I wrote my life book on this. I wrote my book on my life's experiences. And I wasn't quite finished with it, and I had been uploading it on my little stick drives, those flash drives, and I hid it in the spare bedroom I don't even use in my home. And my house was robbed on October 13th last year. Nothing was taken except my books, my flash drives, and my devices were wiped. I had police here and I was laughed at. And, it is really something I've tried to tell my story on. I've mentioned names of people, I've mentioned organizations, I've mentioned locations, I've mentioned specifics, I've mentioned torture, I've mentioned projects, and it got robbed. And I had a knife left in my back door inside my house after that.
Mm.
So, to come out on air and talk about it, I think would be a really dangerous thing. One, it's just a personal thing, something public for me to talk
Yeah, you're cutting out again, Jolene. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
about it. Yeah.
No, yeah, you're cutting out a little bit.
It's funny because my Google Voice application keeps opening as I'm trying to talk through this. My Google Voice app keeps opening.
All right. Um, I know a lot of people don't believe in the secret space program, and some people believe that we haven't even gone into real space, as it were, and when satellites aren't real, and all the space probes that are being launched into space, either land in the sea or aren't real either. And I think a lot of that is a deception in a way to make people think that it's quite difficult to get into space, firstly, and that something like the secret space program couldn't possibly exist.
Well, I think that's where I'm not quite sure, so you can't quote me on this, nor can your listening audience, but the flat earth theory, I think, was put on as people to believe as truth, so it could be disembodied as disinformation, that it's really not true, that we really have gone into space. I'm not sure where I'm going with this, but I also want to go back to the tablets of Enki. Enki mentions, I think in the beginning 5 chapters, he mentions how, the race of Anunnaki came, and before they came to Earth, they stopped at Mars, they created a station there. So the Earth, when they got to Earth, they could go back and forth with some sort of station. And I really do believe that there is a space program. I don't know this whole disinformation thing with the flat earth. I've heard that the CIA set up the flat earth to look like it's true, but it's not really true. So it makes a fool out of all of us people like you and I right now. In the future, it will make a fool out of us. So I don't know if you're following me of what I'm saying. I do believe there is Mars activity. I do know Dick Cheney has has had a city up there. I mean, they've had all this in place. I have recall of certain odd events with my visions and dream time, but is it real? I don't know. I really don't know. And or not to say an answer to yes or no
Yeah, I
because
would say personally, from what I've looked into, I would say the secret space program does exist. I mean, from a lot of people, even John Lear talks about what's up there, and we have been to the moon. There's an atmosphere on the moon and Mars,
yes,
and even hacker Gary McKinnon, who came across all the non-terrestrial officers. What's a non-terrestrial officer? Obviously, the military are out there in space. So,
right.
and he found names of ships, in space that nobody even knows about. So, and he can't even leave the country here in the UK because he'll be deported to the United States.
Right.
So it's a lot of subterfuge and stuff like that, which you
One
know
could say, Kat,
why go to all that effort if it's not true? I'm saying.
our our governments across the world have technology they haven't even released to our public society. They're 20 years ahead of us and we don't even know about it. Our technology is so extreme. We think we think it's at the level we're at now, and it's moved fast just in the last 5 to 10 years. But the governments are way ahead of us. They're just hiding it from us.
Mm,
I really will give an answer to my feelings that it is very, very real, that it's been very, very real for a very, very long time. But I'm also leery to say that just because I don't have personal answers to uh, I really want to say yes, it is very real. Do I have personal experiences with Mars? I do not know yet. So yes, it's real, but no, I don't know if my experiences are real. Maybe that's the answer I give.
Yeah, I would agree with you as well. Yeah.
Just recently I was having visions with the red background, and it was very Egypt feeling, but it was on a red, everything was red in the vision. Actually, it was like last week I was talking to my girlfriends about it. So it's so odd that you bring this topic up. And I've been studying the tablets of Enki recently. I know they talk a lot about Mars. And of course, with the system set up the way that they are and the hidden societies and all of these governments of ours, I'm certain that activity has existed on there for a very long time. I caught wind to Dick Cheney doing this when, they were in office back then and nobody believed a word I said. But right now, I'm fantastically happy that we can talk about these subjects now. It's laughed at 10 years ago. 20 years ago, 30 years ago, when I came out of the psychic closet, it was even worse. It was worse than being gay. I got brutalized for coming out and saying I'm psychic. Today, talk about this. We stand, we stand this week. I think we want the answers as much as we want the questions.
Yeah, I would agree with you there as well. I think a lot of people, they're like afraid of what they don't understand, so they see someone saying that they're psychic and they don't really understand it, and so they dismiss it in a way, I guess. I can't hear you, Jolene.
A lot of interference. A lot of interference. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now, yeah.
I tell a lot of the people that come to me, if there's a path that you don't need to go down every path. Let's just put it that way. If the space program isn't something that resonates with a memory you have or a bad dream you've been having, um, there's no reason why you need to go and learn about it. Let's learn about what is wrong with each of ourselves and what pertains to us. There was a period of time, probably early last year, I was getting a lot of people in for counseling that really wanted to be part of the Monarch program. And I couldn't understand that foundation, that they'd have this projection that they wanted to be in a program just to feel important. And I want to stress to all of your listeners that secret space program or Supersoldiers or Monarch sex slave, Montauk time travel genetic splicing, you don't want to try to be that if you're not that. It's a horrible experience. You missed nothing but abuse and torture. It was horrible. I don't understand why some people are wanting to try to fit into programs that they were never part of. So if the space program is something that kind of strikes a chord in you, maybe pursue it. But if it doesn't, leave it alone and go search your soul somewhere else. I really try to suggest people not only look into their blood ancestry in this 3D reality, but really seek your past life realities and see where that leads you to tell you where you are today. You know, I
Yeah,
hope it makes sense. I really do, because it's an ugly, ugly childhood experience to be part of these projects and programs. They were horrible. Nobody wants to be a sex slave, brutalized and tortured. Nobody wants to be put through super soldiery. What they made us go through to get there was insidious, was beyond shameful and degrading. So
hmm,
I think people need to stop elevating us. We're abused victims. We're survivors, but we go through disgrace, disgusting, disgraceful torture, and you don't want to be one of us. So if it's not part of you, don't even listen to us. Don't even
hmm.
don't even watch our videos.
Yeah, I think everyone different things really. I mean, for me, the secret space program interests me, super soldier program interests me, but other things like UFOs or flat Earth or things like that don't really interest me. So I think it's everyone's different. You have to
Right.
don't look into things just because you think they're you might have been part of it, or you want to connect yourself to it in some way. I think
We're getting a lot of people that have had experiences with extraterrestrials. I think that really needs investigating. Like if you were my client and I was counseling you, I would start asking questions of when your first experience was, that you have any recall of ships or beings or outer planetary experiences. And we start from a working point to find out the roots of that. We ask about your family's history, we ask about your childhood, we ask about how many experiences you've had, and you kind of work to see how that fits into you. And that's what I would suggest for you, Taj. See where your childhood memories and experiences fit, so it leads you into where you are today, so you can get those answers for yourself.
all right, thanks. Well, I don't know. Is there anything else you want to cover? I think we've covered quite a bit really in this interview. If there was anything you want to say, a message or anything, just to
I
finish off on, really.
oh, I just I think you covered a lot of subjects. I hope I was clear enough. I was very nervous today, and
No, you were fine, Jolene. Very, very
thank
good.
you for having me. And no, I probably will when I get off the phone with you. But no, I'm very satisfied, and I'm so appreciative for you having me. And let's see if we can coordinate some kind of group where we start getting powerhouse people together.
Yeah, that would be good. That would be good, definitely.
If anybody needs to contact me, you can reach me through Facebook. I ask that you private message me to tell me where you heard of me, and let me know if you're interested in the counseling or teaching. I charge a very tiny amount. I charge a $35 fee for a 3 to 4 hour session. And from there, all of the counseling is free of charge, 24/7. The teaching classes is free too. And I've prided myself on that for almost 14 years. So Facebook contact is JoJo Seebacher. Facebook Seebacher.
So you're cutting out there again, but
Um,
it's a JoJo, yeah, Jolene Seebacher, yeah,
yes, yes, it is. Thank you for having me, Taj.
and thank you for letting me interview you.
You have a beautiful day, everybody.
Okay,
All right. Bye, Taj.
goodbye, bye.